This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, Ira. How are you doing? Good weekend?
Good weekend, not smoking any hopium, and Tyler Herro was a sobering reminder of how things can turn in a hurry when you don't have the depth to cover yourself.
Blessing. I call this an absolute blessing. And I hope that they're thinking this in the front office. I hope you all in that cover the beat are thinking the same thing. This is the best thing that could happen to the Miami Heat and to this ownership group. If they didn't need a reminder of how fragile he is and why you should never, ever commit to a long-term and a max contract to this player, and you should move his ass once he gets healthy by the deadline, there you go. Here's your reminder. And if you give a max deal during this window coming up like you talk about every time in October, then it proves to me you have zero commitment to winning, and you will never be another great team again, because this is not a great player, and this is not the kind of player that you commit that ridiculous amount of money to. Go get a guy that's a real franchise player. Tyler's a nice player. Time to move on. This was a blessing for the Miami Heat to get this message. That's the way I look.
Two things. First of all, I agree, and there's almost a Dolphins parallel here, that when things aren't going right, you try to start applying Band-Aids, whether it's Ndamukong Suh, whether it's we'll get Mika Fitzpatrick back, we'll get rid of Jalen Ramsey, we'll keep playing the whole hamster wheel. I get all that, number one. Number two, and this is also a Dolphins parallel, I don't want to say chasing mistakes, but following things up because you're afraid that you might not be able to do better. Fearium. I'm not going to call it hopium. I'm going to call it fearium for this reason. At a certain point, the Dolphins have to say, no matter how good he plays throughout the first 59 minutes of the game, Tua will make a mistake that will erase all of that. You can't be afraid to say, we go into the next draft, we take a quarterback, and way before we took yours, we should have taken a quarterback this past draft. And the Miami Heat can't go in and go, is there really a better scorer out there than Tyler Herro? Is there someone in the draft who's going to be a better player than Tyler Herro? You can't live in that fear. If Adam Simon is what we think he is, a lot better than Chris Greer, a great judge of talent, if the Heat's developmental program is what it is, Eric Spoelstra develops, Mike McDaniel, not so sure about that. It is the Heat have that. Then you don't live in fear of, well, if we let him go, what are we going to do? Too many times I've seen that. Big O. Well, if we let Dion Waiters go, what are we going to do? They re-sign him. If we let James Johnson go, what are we going to do? They re-sign him. If someone comes after Bam and we don't give him a max, we could lose him. Maximum deal. At some point, you can't operate from a fear factor also. So this is what I said, and I'm actually going to write this in my Ask Ira tomorrow at sunsentinel.com, is the Heat, when it comes to Tyler Herro, should embrace the challenge of not giving him an extension for this reason. I know you're talking about trades, but I'll take it a different direction. If Tyler plays to the degree that he warrants more next summer than he is eligible to get right now, beautiful. Perfect. He's available in a sign and trade. You'll pay more money if he shows instead of being a star, he can be a superstar. Don't know if that can happen, but I'll do it. And if after these 14 games missed, he comes back and he plays 68 games, hey, he'll show resilience also, and I'll feel a lot more comfortable. But as I quantified in today's Sun Sentinel and online yesterday, he hasn't just missed for a few extended absences. He consistently, this 14 is nothing new. This 14 is typical with the leg and the broken hand. And I know, Big O, some people will say like Niko Jovic's broken hand, it was circumstantial. Anyone can put their hand in the wrong place. I agree. Just like any writer from the Sun Sentinel can write an occasional bunch of bad stories, but then he better get it right. Just like Orlando Alzugaray can have the occasional bad week, but he can't have 2 or 3 or 4 because eventually the sponsors go, whoa, what are we doing here, folks? Same thing with Tyler. So look, if it's unfortunate, if it's happenstance, it's a tough break for the kid. and maybe he deserves better luck. But you can't commit an amount of money that is more than $500,000 a game when you don't know if he's going to be playing in that game. Orlando Alzugaray was very strong in February. You cannot extend Jimmy Butler to nearly $60 million a year because you cannot pay him almost $1 million a game, not knowing what games he's going to show up for. Same situation here. Again, it's a use injury. It's something that happened in the offseason. Whether it's training habits, we don't know. Remember, before Haywood Highsmith was traded, he was injured. He needed surgery. He was going to miss time. Maybe it's a heat training method. Maybe this guy's pushing too hard because they're not good enough. I don't know, but at some point you pull back. It's hard. It's hard to have a star talent that's short of a superstar talent, but you can't be afraid. You can't be afraid if you have to move on from Tyler Herro. God bless him. Love him as a person. You can't be afraid if you have to move on from Tua. For all the things he will intrigue you with, there will also be the moments where you go, can't have this again. Those aren't going away with Tua. These seemingly aren't going away with Tyler. And at some point, you have to say, thank you for your service. You did your best. You were a good soldier. You were here. You weren't petulant like Jimmy. But at a certain point, we need to be able to count on you to make the biggest of plays and simply to be available.
So what's your gut tell you? Are they going to make the mistake or are they going to make the right decision?
You know what? I've been wrong so many times here in the Acura of Pembroke Pines that I understand why they don't have that I understand why they don't have me in the showroom, because I would quote the wrong price and get in trouble with your friend, the GM. But I will say this. I would almost find it unfathomable that in the Heat's extension window for Tyler, which is October 1st, the anniversary of his previous extension, to October 20th, the day before the start of the season for all extensions off a contract like Tyler has, the Heat extend him unless Tyler is willing to come down to a price that makes it the kind of deal where it's a value deal. What that price is, I don't know. Look, his deal could be as much as 3 years for $150. Now, if it's 3 years for $100 and you're giving Andrew Wiggins money, maybe you take the chance. As a matter of fact, I would say this. I'm going to throw it back to Orlando Alzugaray. Orlando, as much as you have grave doubts about Tyler Herro rising to superstar level, as much as you have serious doubts about Tyler Herro being able to stay as healthy as he was for the 77 games last season, I think you would agree as a businessman, there probably would be a number, one, that I don't think Tyler would accept because of his ego. So do I think Tyler Herro will get a commensurate extension for what he expects? Zero chance. It can't happen. It shouldn't happen. God bless him. Remember, he still has 2 years left. There's plenty of time to trade, to maneuver, to do something else. But if there's a price point where all of a sudden he's getting Andrew Wiggins money or something like that because he's so afraid of his future, then I think it would be foolhardy not to. I can't fathom that happening because the one thing we know about Tyler, he always bets on himself. He is cocky and cocksure. He believes he is among the best. Better than Trey. What did he tell us? He was better than Trae Young, better than Luka Doncic. Remember that quote, I'm going to show everybody? Yeah. I can't fathom Tyler bringing his price point back. What I like about this situation is this. He's not Jimmy Butler. Tyler Herro will not be an asshole if he doesn't get his extension. He will double down on himself. He will bet on himself. And God bless him, that's what he should. Will the Heat give Tyler Herro something close to the maximum extension or even what he believes he's worth in that 19, 20-day window, 21-day window? I would find that very, very hard to believe. And who knows? 3 weeks from now on our accurate Pembroke Pines report, maybe I'll be eating crow, but I doubt it.
Will anybody else miss the start of the season outside of Tyler?
We still don't know about Drew Smith. And they tell us all kinds of things. Drew, last time I spoke to Drew, he said he was about to start 5-on-5. It's interesting, Big O. An Achilles injury, we've always said, you know this, Achilles 1 year. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton has already told us he's out for next season. Jason Tatum has all but indicated he's out for next season. 1 year injury. Now, Drew's a gritty fighter who doesn't have to get back to the level of Tyrese Halliburton. Doesn't have to get back to the level of Jason Tatum for two reasons. One, he's not as good. He'll tell you that. But two, he's not going to be asked to play 40 minutes. The Pacers need Tyrese Halliburton for 40 minutes. The Celtics need Jason Tatum for 40 minutes. The Heat, in a perfect world, I hope they don't need him for more than this. Need Drew Smith for about 14 minutes. So he's my primary question mark.
The only thing I would counter with Drew is that poor young man has had the worst luck in the world. Yes. And the only thing I would tell Drew is, please, dude, come back 100 because you don't have the luxury of luck. And I get it. They don't need you for 40. But even if you're going to play 15 or 20, dude, be 100 because, man, you just have not had luck. And I feel for this kid because he actually does have ability that he should be a rotational type of guard in this league. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Maybe not for a contender, but for a team out there, I agree. What he's shown us, defensive doggedness, 3-pointers he'll make when left open. He will make the right play and not the stupid play. I agree with all that.
But what man, I will say about luck, he has had. I feel for him, man.
Well, look, the thing in Cleveland, let's take people back so they know the injuries. The thing in Cleveland 2 years ago, there's a ledge on the court in Cleveland, so the rich people have higher seats so they can see what's going on. Look, I don't know who the personal injury attorney who's a sponsor for your show right now is, but Welt
Rheaume, get him.
Okay, I would have had Tyler Herro call them right away and sue the ass off of the Cleveland Cavaliers for having a court that no one in the NBA deems safe. And he could be a multi-billionaire, and maybe I could be sponsored by Drew Smith if he did that. But no, he's a good kid. Didn't want to sue anyone. Didn't want to go that way. Fine. That was 2 years ago. Last year, he's playing the Nets. One of those benign injuries. You know what's so interesting, Big O? We watch collisions every Sunday in the NFL, Saturday in college. Sometimes the worst collision have the most minor of injuries. But when a guy gets injured untouched and he reaches down there, we're all wise enough to know right now, crap, that's the Achilles. That's the worst injury. Drew was playing against the Nets December 24th, the eve of Christmas last year, maybe the 23rd, and all of a sudden, he can't move. He knew right away. His wife knew right away. She ran down from the stands. Again, freak injury. So you hope the kid can get past it. I love this story and perseverance. I have no issue with the contract that he gave. 1 year guaranteed at the minimum, next 2 years non-guaranteed. So he has something to play for. The Heat aren't out on the line. It's a good story. What I will say this about Tyler's injury, there are so many options. So if Orlando Alzugaray is leaning into the future, possibly leaning into the lottery and not prioritizing winning, hey, all of a sudden you can see what Jaime Jaquez Jr. has. You can see what Orlando Alzugaray's adopted son, Pelle Larsson, an honorary Cuban, has as a possibility to fill in for Tyler. You can see what Kasparis Yakachikonis has, maybe not as much in Sioux Falls. You spot him in a few games because you're not playing necessarily to win. But training camp starts with media day a week from today, then a week from tomorrow, training camp starts. Big O, does Erik Spoelstra know any way but to coach to win? And you can say that he understands the big picture, but it's in his genes. And I'm concerned if he sees a moment where he says, I could use Terry Rozier's offense right now. You might see Terry ahead of those kids. So it's almost like Erik Spoelstra sort of is going to need an intervention with Mickey Arison and Nick Garrison and Pat Riley and Andy Ellsberg and saying, yes, coach, you're going to the Hall of Fame. You've won your championships. You play to win. But this time around, we need you to play for the future. Don't put games aside. Don't not play to win. But keep in mind, every day of growth for Jaime Jaquez Jr., for Pelle Larsson, for Kasparis, for your young players is a bridge to the future. And the last thing I'll stop with in this rant is this. A year ago when Orlando and everyone said the Heat should tank, remember, if the Heat tanked last year and drafted in the lottery, they would have an unprotected pick going out this year. Well, without Tyler Herro, I have trouble naming more than 3 teams in the East that I'm definitively sure the Heat are better than. Charlotte, Brooklyn, Washington. After that, are they better than Chicago? I'm not sure. Are they better than Toronto? I'm not sure. So they would have risked giving up a potential top lottery seed. So again, if all these things are moving in this direction and pointing to this year, the convergence of having a lottery pick, the convergence of Tyler missing the start of the season, the convergence of having all this youth, not we didn't even mention Nikola Jovic to develop, maybe this is a transitional developmental season. You know what? If the Heat do that, they could find themselves in a better place. And maybe the lesson there is the Dolphins needed to do it also.
Okay. Rozier, how does this story end with the whole thing? Is he back? Is there still an investigation?
It's interesting. I wrote last week, I didn't even know if he'd be brought to camp because if he's injured in camp and a basketball-related player in the preseason, all his money's guaranteed. And that extra almost $2 million they could use to sign a veteran, Precious Achiuwa with someone else, you lose the opportunity with a basketball-related injury. But I can tell you Terry Rozier is on the practice court right now, and he's working out with Heat players. So I find it very hard to believe between now and a week from now that he convinced him to stay home, to not move, to don't take a misstep on a curb anywhere, don't play pickup basketball. It's hard to do. You can only limit a player so much. My question is, Big O, and I don't know this answer. I'm not going to claim I do. You might. I know you have thoughts. I'm still not so sure Erik Spoelstra wouldn't try to lean into that one more time. Because if you're coaching to win, you still want to look at a player who's saying, okay, he was awful last year. But 2 years ago, before he hurt the neck, he wasn't that bad. And 3 years ago, when he was with Charlotte, he was one of the best streak scorers in the league. I am really curious to see how Erik Spoelstra handles Terry Rozier. Given a chance to load up on minutes for Pelle Larsson and Jaime Jaquez Jr. in the preseason, do we wind up seeing some Terry Rozier? I'm not going to say I know. I'm very curious. What do I think? Hell no. Move forward. He's 31 years old. Even if he has a great season, he's a free agent, and you sure as whatever word you want to use aren't going to bring him back anyway. But if you're a coach living in the moment, seeing that you need a streak scorer, he sure as hell is more of a streak scorer than Pelle Larsson, than Jaime Jaquez Jr., than Kasparis, than Drew Smith. I'm really curious to see how Erik Spoelstra plays this.
All right. I guess you saw it. Asia winning her fourth MVP in the league because she's just an absolute badass. So Bam was giving her the award. Can it rub off a little bit?
Well,
can it rub off a little bit?
They're different players, and Asia plays with a fiercer approach than Bam does in the NBA. It's who she is, who he is. The one thing I'd like to rub
Opposites attract, by the way.
Maybe the one thing I'd like to see is for Bam just to acknowledge that he's dating Asia and it's a thing. He shows up at her jersey retirement in South Carolina. She shows up when he's at All-Star. He shows up when she gets MVP. I asked Bam last year, I said, everyone knows you two are a thing. So why not just tell people? And he just said, because sometimes you just want to have a personal life and you want to leave it aside. And that's all well and good. But it's not like they're dating in secret. It's not like the guy, who went to the Coldplay concert and didn't think he'd be noticed. Bam is showing everyone me and Asia Wilson are a thing. They seem to be a lovely couple. They both I don't know a lot about the NBA, but WNBA. Hopefully I know something about the NBA, but I don't know a lot about the WNBA, but she seems like a very good model citizen there and a very good
She's the
spokesperson for the league with their play interactions. Bam, as we know.
You know what she is? She's the female Alonzo Mourning, dude.
Okay, I can do that. Probably not as much of a badass as Alonzo, but be hard in his
No. She's a badass like
personality.
Alonzo.
I'm talking personality-wise.
Yeah.
I remember Zoe days. I remember Zoe coming out of Georgetown. Little different person, but also a different upbringing.
I love Zoe. He can be moody, yes.
And I will say this. Say what you want about Bam, and whether you think Big O is often said in our accurate Pembroke Pines called him a super role player, but Big O, I think you'd agree with this. What he does for his mother and the love he shows for family, he's really good people.
Oh, he's perfect. He's a perfect human being, dude. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Everything about Bam is awesome. The only thing I want from him, since he's making that kind of money, is I need you to be a franchise player. I need you to be more like Asia.
And a mother effer. But you know what? If it's not in you, it's not in you. If it's not who you are, it's not who you are. Bam Adebayo will never be an MFer. Bam Adebayo will always shake the hand with the vanquished or when he's vanquished after the game because that's who he is. If Joel Embiid pushes him around and kicks his ass in a playoff series, they'll shake hands at the end and move on because that's just the person he is. So that's the question for this Heat team. Who's the MFer? Who's getting in someone's face? I think Davion Mitchell has shown some bulldog with his play. I know Orlando Alzugaray on the Big O show will constantly rip and let them know what they should do. But Big O and the Heat,
Larson's got dog, baby.
There you go. There you go with your godson again. Okay, and that's fine. And if I can find the first angry Scandinavian in the NBA, I'm all for it. So we shall see. I don't think Jonas Jerebko had any, and I'm coming out of Sweden. Maybe Pelle is the difference.
Yeah, and to me, Pelle reminds me of Sharonis Marciulionis, bro. He reminds me, Sharonis had dog in him. Rest in peace. I think he has a little bit of that in him. That's what he reminds me of, that toughness that he brings to the table. I like him, but again, we need a star dog,
yes,
and
a franchise dog like Alonso was, like LeBron was, like Jimmy MF or Butler was. That's what they don't have. So we shall wait and see.
Yeah, follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Ira, as always, thank you. We will catch up next week, my friend. Appreciate it.
We'll catch up with you either from Media Day or we'll work the schedule, but it's all starting. Thanks, Big O.
You got it, baby. We'll get it done as always. We are flexible here. We are digital. Thank you, Ira. And Acura Pembroke Pines, man. Larry Schlossberg, Pat Nasto, Tony Stampone, all the great people out there getting it done. The ADX right now, 2025 model, $299 a month, 4.9% financing for 60 months. The Integra 2025 model, 3.9% financing for 60 months. The RDX, $419 a month, 4.9% financing for 60 months. And the ZDX, remember, the $7,500 tax break is going, and that means the Orange Man is going to make you pay $7,500 more for an electric car. So if you want to get that tax break, you can still get it. Get on down to 15601 Pines Boulevard. Go check out the ZDXs and tell them that Big O sent you. Craig Zins, Acura of Pembroke Pines.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.